ready for their change? You know, we're talking about being ready for the change. Are we ready for the change? What if the change comes and we're not ready? You know, it says better to have a, what's that, be ready for an opportunity. How's it go? Tell me that. How's that go? Nobody knows that one but me, and I got it backwards? Okay. Let's not go there then. It says, be prepared for an opportunity that doesn't come, than to have an opportunity come that you're unprepared for. And so that's what being ready for the change is about. That means I am doing my work. And when I say I'm doing my work, what I mean is I'm doing everything I can, everything necessary for me to evolve the truth of who I am into a grander, more resplendent expression of the divine, which I know I am, and of which I am one. So, make sense? Yes, okay. Let's make sure we're in the right room. So, let's begin with our affirmation that says, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful and committed individuals can make a difference in the world. Indeed, that's all that ever has. Wonderful, wonderful. Never doubt means always remember. This is a quote by Margaret Mead. I'm stuck on it, okay? I'm like, when I was a child, you know, I don't know, some of you don't even know what phonographs are, but long playing phonographs, you know, we had a Christmas album, okay, that had all these Christmas songs and Christmas stories, and there was a scratch on the record. And so you had to like tap the turntable to get it to jump out of that track. And so it begins like, you know, the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The children were nestled, the children were nestled, the children were nestled, the children were nestled. Over and over and over again. If you didn't do something, it would just stay, the children were nestled. And so that's what's going on in my mind with this idea that always remember that I'm making a difference on the planet. People, no more critical time to remember this than now. It's interesting that the reading talks about politics. You know, you say you're not supposed to talk about politics, but right now, you know, I'm seeing this thing that says, you know, this could be World War III. And it's like, man, if you're not afraid, you're supposed to be afraid. And if you're not angry, you're supposed to be angry. And if you're terrified, then you're on the right track. And so, you know, you cannot pick a greater time to know. Dr. Holmes says to desert the truth in our hour of need is to demonstrate that we never knew the truth. And I'm reminded of Reverend Andrea. I always have to add her caveat on this. When her significant other, let's call him that, and he wound up in the hospital. It was within, you know, a hair's breadth of his life. And she was in there praying for him, and she wouldn't let anybody in the room who she didn't feel had a consciousness of wholeness and healing. And I was talking to her about it afterwards. I said, well, you really did some really powerful work there, Reverend Andrea. And she's like, well, you know, Dr. Holmes says to desert the truth in the hour of need is to demonstrate you've never known the truth. And she says, but I'm changing that to if you desert the truth in your hour of need, it's just plain stupid. Just plain stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like forgetting how to swim once you dive into the ocean. And that's not the time to say, I forgot how to float. You want to remember that who you are is not contingent upon what's happening in the world. Brother Ishmael would like to say, your feelings are real, but you are not your feelings. Your pain is real, but you are not your pain. So you want to know, we want to know, I want to know that who I am is not contingent upon what's happening in the world. As a matter of fact, what I know about myself is the world is responding to me and not the other way around. And so many times we're wagging the dog. Did anybody see that we're wagging the dog? Yeah. Man, that was a good one right there. And I love the term wagging the dog because it just shows up so many times. If you didn't see wagging the dog, go see it. That's all I can say. Rent it. I don't know how you're going to get it. But wagging the dog means we're doing things backwards. But when you say they get the cart before the horse, there's all these little colloquialisms and little, what do you call them? Somebody?
Aphorisms? No, not aphorisms.
What? I'm thinking of some kind of, aphorism is good. You know, little homespun wisdoms that come forth from the idea of, from so many different places. And this one right here is always make sure you do it, to put the steps properly together. And consciousness is always cause. And so when I start talking about don't get the cart before the horse, I'm saying don't ever believe that what's happening in your life is a result of the world doing something to you. It is so easy, especially now, if your president didn't win, to think that something's happening to us. And I'll never forget, when Barack Obama won, it was the first time I saw people talk about not my president. Maybe it happened before, but it was the very first time. And now we have the other side saying not my president. And each side's convinced that they know what they're talking about. And neither one is willing to admit that they're all in the same soup, cooking at the same time. And so when we recognize that there's only oneness, there's only what?
Oneness.
There's only oneness. That means we cannot be separate from the whole. And if we cannot be separate from the whole, we recognize that as big as the ocean is, there's a tide on every shore. Each one has a tide that rolls in and a tide that rolls out. There's a rhythm and a harmony to life. And when we recognize the idea that we're one with the whole, then we get in touch with the rhythm of life, the rhythm of nature. We allow what's natural to take place. But if we don't know what's natural, then it's hard to do that. One of my friends, obviously he was raised differently than me, and we were talking about orange juice one day. He's like, I don't like orange juice. I'm like, you don't like orange juice? He said, yeah, I'd rather have an orange soda. I said, wow, so I understand what happened. See, that's what they gave him. That's what he grew up with. He never had orange juice. He never developed a taste for it. But he loves orange soda. And sometimes we just got used to an idea that does not serve us. As unhealthy as an orange soda is to your body, and orange juice is not that great either. I mean, there's some issues either way, you know what I'm saying? But one is natural, and one is manufactured, and one is going to give you a different set of problems than the other. And so what I'm talking about is the natural order of things. And the natural order of things is a oneness that's pervasive throughout, and I hope that's the right word, throughout the cosmos. And so what we're talking about this month is the journey to awakening. And the journey to awakening begins with the idea that the awakening process itself is just an activity of self-realization of who we are. And I'm reminded when they asked the Buddha about who he was and what his philosophy was, he said, I am awake. And being awake simply means you are aware of the presence of a spiritual reality from which, through which, and by which you are living your life. You are immersed in this spiritual reality. Dr. Deepak calls it the field of pure potentiality. And you recognize that in this thing, in this place, in this activity, I am one with everything, everywhere at the same time. And I love the term, one with everywhere, everything, everywhere at the same time. Can you say that? One with everything, everywhere at the same time. Two more times. One with everything, everywhere at the same time. Again, one with everything, everywhere at the same time. This is a huge paradigm shift, because that means there's no over there, and there's no they, and there's no them. And when you eliminate the idea that there's a they and a them and an over there, then it's easy to get in touch with my own journey of awakening, because that's part of the process, is just the understanding that right where I am and just as I am, everything I need to move forward or to prosper in my life is present right here. The journey is the awakening to this idea, to this understanding, and living from that place, living from something called truth. And we're talking about truth and faith? Faith and truth, faith and truth. I said faith and truth. No, truth and knowing. Thank you. See, that's not right. You know, you
Trust and knowing.
See, thank you. See, thank you.
I just read it.
No, that's good. That's good, though, actually, because we get to teach something here, because this is the external hard drive kicking in when the mainframe doesn't have the right answer. You see what I'm saying? You got to realize the computer was modeled after human mind, and not the other way around. Let's not wag the dog here. Okay, there's no computer that's going to compute faster than mine right now. And so it's out there. Sometimes I forget things on purpose just so people can do it. See how good I am? Trust and knowing. Absolutely. Now, trust is something that goes beyond faith. And faith is something that goes beyond hope. And hope is what we have when we don't have anything else. It's just like one step up from despair is hope. And it's better than despair. Dr. Holmes says it's better than despair, but it's a subtle illusion. It's a compromise of the spiritual integrity that recognizes wholeness as the truth. And so hope just says, in all this bad stuff that's happening in my life, I am praying, I am hoping, and that means I don't have an expectation that it's going to get better, because that would be more than hope. I'm just open to the possibility that maybe it might get better, and maybe it might not get worse. And that's a tough place to hang out, but sometimes that's where we are. But as we study and as we grow and as we test the philosophy, we learn to develop a faith. And faith is what the scriptures call the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So that means once we move into a place of faith, we're not just hanging out in the ambiguity of not knowing and being afraid of the dread and wishing things to be better. We've now moved into a place where our hopes begin to have a substance. And I don't know how to describe hope having a substance, because hope is an abstract idea. But if you can understand what makes hope possible is there's a substance to it. And that's what faith is. And so when we move into that place of faith, we begin to exercise a greater knowledge beyond the hope. Now we're aware that something is possible. Something is possible for me to move forward and to progress. And I'm going to have faith in that thing. That means I'm going to put my hope into that basket. Now it's like, faith, hope is an egg and faith is a basket. But trust is beyond faith. Because faith is based on, once again, the abstract, the idea that maybe things will get better and I pray they don't get worse, but it's stronger than hope. But trust is actually something quite concrete. Faith is let me make sure I get this right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Got it right, okay. Faith is a noun, okay? That means it's a person, place, a thing. And so when you have faith, it's like you own it, you grabbed it. It's still not really part of who you are, because it's just about possession of the thing. But trust is an activity. That means I'm taking this idea of faith and I'm willing, and this is the most beautiful part, to move forward with what my faith is. And when I begin to move forward with what my faith is, I have to trust that that thing is going to work for me. And so that's the thing that makes trust so powerful, is that it's an action that we are taking when we trust. Even if we're not moving anywhere, if I have an idea about what I want my life to look like, and I'm willing to move forward with it, and even if I'm just moving forward in my mind, I'm exercising my mind, I'm visualizing in my mind, I'm doing I'm writing this. This is an activity called trust. And when we have trust, then we can move into knowing. And that's what trust and knowing is about right here. And I'm reminded of a story of a tightrope walker. And I think he was the first guy to cross Niagara Falls. And his name is, doesn't matter, Charles Blondin. And he told his friend Henry that he was going to cross Niagara Falls. Now, Henry knew he was a great tightrope walker, and he had the faith that he could do it. But he thought, dude, do you really have to try to do that? I mean, that's pretty stupid. But Henry wasn't going to desert the truth in the hour of need. You know what I'm saying? And when I say desert the truth in your hour of need, it's like, wow, it's coming up. Don't be afraid to go to work because the conditions are hard. This is just coming some, but don't be afraid to go to work. And if you're afraid to go to work, go anyway. And bring the best of you. And you just, not sorry. Back to Charles Blondin and Harry Colcord. And so sure enough, he sets up the whole thing. He tells everybody, the press is out there, everybody expects him to fall. Some people, people are starting to take bets on it. I mean, it's like, it's a big deal. Nobody's ever tried this before. And sure enough, he walks across the rope. He set it up so it doesn't sway and all this. There's a piece in the middle that's not as sturdy as the ends. That is more dangerous than the rest. Kind of like that. And so, so he makes it across and he makes it back. And so when he gets back, he tells everybody, you know what? Thanks for coming out, folks, but I got greater things I'm going to be doing from now. Thanks you came to this, but I got more things I'm going to do. So make sure you stay in touch. And so he exchanged his email with everybody back in 1889. And sure enough, I think his next one, what does he say? He says,